Steve looks like he's in predatorial mode this morning. What is it? What do you guys see out there? Oh, yeah. Too bad I don't have you hooked up yet. My dad would say, Steve, you've got itchy britches this morning, ready to pounce and play and run. And there goes T-Rex out the door. See how fast you can chase him out the door, Steve. That wasn't very fast. The time is 8:30. The temperature is about 23 degrees. Hasn't changed much in the temperature department. Looks like we have a little bit less wind this morning. I like that. Challenged by noises all the time with my audio. I do have my noise canceling lavalier on. And that's a good thing, I think, because there's a lot of noise going on down the hill. If you've been following along, you know there's a project here in Weymouth. And we've got wood chipper in progress right now. I think I'll take off my glove and zoom in a little bit for you. So when I woke up this morning, there were 5 maple trees right there. And now there is 1. And the chips are going in there. I was up with the sun, or before the sun this morning, looking over in that direction. Rock Island Cove is the name. Thank you, Doug. I keep forgetting the name. And it's so fun watching the sun reflect off the buildings and the ice getting a little thicker each morning. It wasn't that dramatically cold, though, this morning. It was about 20 degrees here. And so you really need temperatures closer to 10 than 20 to make that saltwater ice. And you certainly need less wind than we've had. There are the high rises this morning in Boston. And our wind is from the west today. We have actually technically a little bit warm air advection. New England this morning was the cold spot compared to Ohio. The last few mornings I've been saying it's colder to our south and west. Well, Ohio this morning, teens and 20s. And in New England, 1 degree in Jaffrey, New Hampshire this morning, 21 in Boston, Massachusetts. Looking at this bird in many single numbers this morning. So Eric says, you know, I hope they did a lot of study on what is living in that banking before they began clearing it. Well, Eric, thank you for your concern. They've been working on this project now for about 5 years. And I know from being here for that long, there were no ducks living in there. This is not a marshy area. This is sort of a woody hill with just lots of vines and invasives. And there are animals in there, no doubt. And a lot of them are like rats and skunks and raccoons and deer, which I think can get out of the way. And that machine they were using yesterday, that wasn't even their big one. Well, anyhow, let's try and stick to the weather now, and I'll do the rest of that in the end more. All right, where'd Steve go? I didn't put him around. Sorry, I got to go just make sure Steve isn't getting... Where you going, Steve? You chasing some critters over here? And about those tracks, you were right, Vermont Bird Ski, that the tracks over there were not coyotes. They were T-Rex tracks, but it's been so fun looking at the tracks. Come on, Steve. Why don't you put some tracks? He does not like going through the crunchy snow. Oops, Rex is a little busy there. Okay, so I'll put Steve on, and we'll do the forecast here. It was snowing a little bit this morning at Mount Mansfield, and the flakes were going straight down for a change. It wasn't blowing sideways. And so this is day 16 in a row with snow somewhere in New England every day this year so far. And at the Mount Mansfield snow stake, we now have 56 inches of snow, so closing in on 5 feet of snow. So we're pulling away from that year that was an analog year of 2010 and 11. So we're going to have to find a new analog year. You see, if I put the 2010-11 on there, how there was a dip next week, and we are not going to have a dip next week. We're going to see more snow. But it's a tough forecast. Let's go to the Shrewsbury, stick with the Canadian. We've been using the Canadian for consistency for the last 5 days. It's the only one that's been sticking with some weather coming at us January 20th. There's the warm-up coming in here, and there's a little warm front tonight and a wave on a warm front. There'll be some snow in southern New England, and it's still cold, though, tomorrow morning. And then it's really Saturday. We get into the southwest wind, and it's warm enough, low 40s, for some raindrops, maybe mixed with snowflakes. And then it gets colder on Saturday night, so Sunday morning could be a bit icy. And then rain and snow developing, changing to snow, it looks like, during Sunday night, and Monday. It's a real fast mover. And then that harsh chill that everyone is talking about comes in here with temperatures only in the 20s, probably Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, with some nighttime lows pretty close to 0. That may end up being the coldest of the winter, but we'll see, because in the long range, it still looks pretty cold. So what's going to happen tonight, there's a wave on the front, and if I show you the HRRR, the blue is snow coming in here. Tonight, just some very light snow in the air for the Connecticut, parts of Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Cape Cod, Nantucket may get a burst of snow there about midnight or so. It's a little meso low. It's offshore tomorrow morning, but you can kind of see it spinning there in the Gulf of Maine, little low pressure system. So that's kind of going to be a surprise tomorrow morning. And every time we forecast a little bit of snow, it ended up being an inch or two. So maybe someone gets an inch or two tomorrow morning. And now let's go to the bigger picture. Use the Canadian going out for the next 10 days. High pressure off to our south with this just little bit of a meso low tonight. And then we start to get into southwesterly flow at most levels of the atmosphere. Low pressure is going across north of Canada, north of the Great Lakes in Canada. And so we get the green is rain and the blue is snow, a batch of rain and snow on Saturday. A few inches north, less than a quarter of an inch of rain south, but it's going to be on a very cold ground. So even though it's warming up, it's going to turn icy around here Saturday night and Sunday morning. And then things are moving right along. And I'm going to try and slow it down a little bit here. And there's the low going right up over just about Block Island and Nantucket, looking like it wants to be a rain-snow line right over my house here in Weymouth on Monday before the sun comes up. And that storm is taking off. It's really a fast mover. It's strong. It'll be windy. But if it only snows hard for a few hours, you only get a few inches of snow. And both the GFS and the Euro now have that back. So the Canadian's been the only one that has been consistent with that system coming at us on January 20th. And obviously it's faster and weaker than I was thinking. So I often say there's no I in meteorology, but often you got to make a choice and stick with it. We chose the Canadian, so we stuck with it. And now, in coming from the waffle department, wait till you see how much it's changed on Wednesday and Thursday. I'm going to stop it, though, Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. This is probably the heart of the coldest part of the outbreak for the lower 48 next week. And there's that 1061 millibar high pressure system over Wyoming and Idaho. And it looks like a blizzard somewhere down around Texas or Gulf of Mexico storm that we're going to have to watch for next week, and coast to coast. And you see the 480 north of New England in Ontario and Quebec. Yesterday when I mentioned that 510 was a polar vortex, that was really more of a blob of Arctic air, but this truly is a huge scale polar vortex centered over eastern Canada, and it's going to be windy here, so it is just going to be borderline brutal cold. For those of us that go up to the tops of mountains and experience 40-mile-an-hour winds and 0 degrees, we're used to it, but not in the cities. You're not used to it. So that's Tuesday morning, and that storm in the deep south. See all the, put it back in motion, see all the red? That is a freezing rainstorm. Notice that the thicknesses, those red lines, are up around 546. So that's warm enough for rain aloft, but there's so much cold air down below that's a freezing rainstorm going off of North Carolina and missing us to the south next Wednesday, Thursday. So that's a huge waffle. It says no blizzard for Cape Cod and the islands Thursday. It says it's out over the fish. Well, there's room for error there for sure. And none of the models have been consistent, and some of them still trying. I think the Australian model does bring that up the coast, but who has time to look at the Australian model? We're very busy here. It's so noisy. I really don't have to yell. I think my microphones do a good job. And stop it at 240 hours, sorry. Day 10 now, we're getting out to Saturday, January 26th, I believe. And look at Canada with all those 498, 492, 486, and 480 thicknesses. That is just a huge mass of obscene cold air, coast to coast in Canada. Canada is going to be a 0 degree Fahrenheit block of tundra. Just a huge iceberg like the North Pole, but in Canada to end out January. And look at the waves of low pressure from North Carolina to New Mexico to off the coast of Oregon. One after another lows going along the south edge of that cold. So that guarantees coast to coast ice and snow to close out January and open up February. It's going to get more interesting before it gets less. And speaking of coast to coast snow, why don't we play it out using the Canadian over the next 10 days? And what is this? Why is there no snow accumulating from Boston to Chatham to Providence, Rhode Island? because the Canadian says it's going to be rain on Saturday and Monday. I think we will coat the ground with at least a little bit of snow and certainly some ice on the backside of that departing Monday low. And you look across from North Texas into northern Louisiana and all the way to near Atlanta, Georgia, another stripe of southern snow and cold. So yes, this is looking historic. That'll be the third southern storm with snow and ice in 3 weeks. And that doesn't happen every winter. That doesn't happen every 5 winters. This is more like a once every 10 or 20 winter type setup. All right, so I guess I'm done with the weather now. Those are high clouds right there. I didn't show the satellite. Why not show the satellite? I'm not done with the weather. There's that blob of clouds coming across New York and Pennsylvania. Oh yeah, I should show the radar too. So here I was talking all about next week, where tonight we're getting a little dusting of snow. All right, now going to the Enmore. The Enmore yesterday. We have to include Ross Budd.
Goes Ross.
Ross, what are you doing? Don't, Carl. Doing the videography. Thank you, Carl. No, I won't show Ross. Maybe not having a perfect turn, but lots of perfect turns yesterday. Getting over there underneath the meadows on Spruce. That was so pretty. You guys were just slaying that powder yesterday. Weir, Carl, Ross. Thank you for the video. And I got to say hello to Sean and Josh, our friends up at JP. Can always share videos. Josh, Wilson is Josh's dog, and Wilson is almost 15 years old, and God bless Wilson. Still standing, still walking, still enjoying life. And so sorry, Sean, to hear that your dog is having health issues. Too young. Kalea, I believe is your dog's name. Beautiful shots. Thank you, Sean, for sharing that. And God bless you and your dogs. And the Enmore primarily is going to be me watching them down there just clear out the view for us. I've never had a better view of the beach. That last little maple there is coming down. It's a whole long project, and there's expected to be a pier going right out there where that groin is. There's going to be a pier that goes out, and the town's doing a lot of work here to improve the parks in Weymouth, Massachusetts, and this is one of the projects. And these guys are hard workers. I've been watching them now for 2 weeks, and they get it done. They start their day at 7, and they work till almost dark. And you've seen them, and you're going to see more of them. And tomorrow, I don't know if I'm going to have a lot of time. I'm going to try and get out the door early, but going on the road again. So, be a different door over the weekend. Here's the Enmore from TK, behaving like a little kid watching the big, heavy equipment. Very impressive. Talk to you tomorrow. Oh, I think I see a Mitt sighting. Hey, Mitt. All right. Just want to get you in there a little bit, Mitt. Look over here. And more from yesterday. We're getting a new view. Worm Farm. Can you see down here? Yeah. Look at that. Cruncher. It's a cruncher muncher. All the different tracks. And this track now too is just pushing the ball of brush forward. Neat. Swinging it like it's a baseball bat. That is skill. path down to the water. Making himself a little road there. You see the frost layer? How thick that was, about 6 or 7 inches of frost. Changes are not permanent, but change is. Progress, right? And old guys like watching big trucks, just like little guys like watching big trucks. Heavy equipment. It is impressive. And it's frigid outside. I wonder if he has heat in there. 1:30, Wednesday, January 15th. It's cold and windy outside. We get a T-Rex chilling, and something you don't see every day. The arm of an excavator from Rogers Perch with the flag shadow right on the, look at that. I'll go down there and get some more video. I've already got video, but he's building a road basically down there. The action, we love the action. Look at those prints. Those deer or rabbit? What size is that thing? Careful. Easy. Yeah. Cool, huh? Between the old beach and the new beach. Good crew to take some trees down up there too. No prints. Those maples are coming down before we know it. The foreman or somebody in the Jeep here. Look around. 360. Planes landing on this beautiful winter day here in Weymouth, Massachusetts. See all the muck in the water left over from sort of his wake in the time lapse yesterday and today. And Jeff Kent, I don't know how long your initials are going to last, or your imprints here from 1971. Are you ice boating at Lake Winnipesaukee right now? I think this groin is going to be history. That's Fred's house. That's Fred's house. That's Fred's house. How you liking this, Fred? You like it? Definitely getting mixed reviews from the neighbors. All like the view better though, aren't we? right here. Widen out a little bit again. Foreman, go and talk to that surgeon. That thing's called the DK225. Duck can. Boom. Right in there. How to make the connection. I'd say that's probably good enough for today, huh? Project's gonna last quite some time. Shows you how big that heavy equipment is compared to the humans. That's a monster excavator. A little one over there. That's how thick it is. That's just divine kudzu matis. We call it swallowwort. Been fighting this with a machete and a shovel for a couple of years. All right, 7 years. And they're in there. Yep, been there, done that. He's wrestling with it, literally wrestling with it. I know that feeling. Oh, if these walls could talk, huh, Jerry? Doug? Calvin? What about these prints? All right, this is a coyote perch, right? Can anybody disagree with that? I didn't talk about the prints as much yesterday as I meant to. It's like the coyote just comes and sits right here and watches the action. Cool, now they're just rolling it down the hill. It's some serious work. That'll keep you warm on a cold day. Meanwhile, let's go back in time a little bit. When this concrete was poured right here. Looks like it was September 21, 1994, doesn't it? Marty's hands. He was probably just about 7 or 8 years old this time, huh? There's a TK hand. Hey, Marty. Marty G was here. With some tracks of his pet. This is how I've been operating. Gloves on and off. It is frigid. Not really that frigid, really, is it? It's like 32 degrees, but it's windy. I'm old. I'm not used to it anymore. When you're skiing, I guess, you just keep warm. Yeah. Those guys are probably warm enough. The captain of the ferry, think he's warm? Probably got a stereo and a heater in there. You want to see my way in and out? It's a little bit hairy. Get more prints right there. So I'm just going to put this leg up over this. Hold on to this. Go like this. Like this. This is called backcountry. Bushwhacking. If these hills could talk, huh? Howdy, neighbors. Fred and Fred. And there's that muck in the water that I was talking about. Yeah, I'm a big little kid. That's right. Back on the home court now. I think that's enough for today. I'm going to show you the time lapse, even though it's only about 2 o'clock. How low the sun is. Yeah, I'll show you the time lapse, and you can watch that muck coming and going with the tide. And one little and more. Just like we can see light at sunrise reflecting off buildings, we can see light at sunset reflecting off buildings in Hull and in Boston. All right, that's it. And more and more and more. Hey, there's a Virga behind that light. What a day. Every day is what a day. Thanks for watching.